When we think of essential elements in superhero movies, we think of great actors embodying their roles. Great visual effects and action scenes bringing their powers to life. But what's just as important to making a great superhero film is the production design. These characters are of course heroes of their worlds, and in order to care about their struggles, we must also care about the worlds they're saving. And increasingly, this has become my biggest issue with the genre's biggest franchise.
What a classic Thor adventure! Hurrah!
For a series called the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's frustrating how uncinematic it can be. A lot of people have talked about Marvel's recent struggles, myself included, but above the issues I have with their stories, my biggest issue I have is my inability to ground myself within their worlds. And no film within this universe embodies this issue more than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. For a film that's supposed to take me to the quantum realm, I never feel as though I've left the borders of the volume screen. The colors and the sets all blur together into a purpley mush that never once connects me to this universe. In order to see how it's done right, we must instead look at the MCU. Wait, what? Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in many ways the antithesis to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Oogly Boogly. Both films are trilogy cappers, revealing the dark backstory for a member of their team as they journey into new fantastical worlds. Both teams go up against purpley telekinetic villains with god complexes. They even share the same vegetable joke.
Holy shit. That guy looks like broccoli.
Let's kill that one that looks like a carrot to show we mean business.
But where their stories share similar DNA, they share nothing in common with their storytelling. So let's say you want to establish your villain as a petty asshole. Would you have them just hit their henchmen while they're specifically trying to gain the hero's trust? Or would you do this? Or maybe you're trying to show that the utopia the characters are driving through isn't as perfect as it seems. Do you have the characters talk about it within the car? Or do you show this? In both examples, we see the physical world of the characters interact and play a part in this story. Guardians 3 is a film all about the worlds the characters inhabit and what it reflects about them. We see this from the very first scene as Rocket walks around nowhere, the Guardians' new home. During this opening, we get a distinct feeling for the rhythms and issues they deal with on a daily basis. The loneliness of Star-Lord and the isolation of Rocket are both told to us visually through their relationship with this environment. My favorite detail in this opening is how the Guardian sign, which has just been set up, is destroyed in the next scene immediately after Rocket is critically wounded. In order for the craziness of these worlds to feel crazy, we must contrast it with the normalcy of the rest of their lives. Contrast is the key to Guardians 3's visual design. Quantumania goes for craziness all the time. Lots of saturated pinks, blues, and oranges in the same shot. Volume 3, on the other hand, takes on a bright, monochromatic palette. Every location has a distinct color tone that punctuates the costumes of those who live within it. This is why the vegetable joke is so much funnier in Guardians. The carrot just pops off the screen. It's also why the action in Volume 3 is infinitely stronger.
Like that. You see what I did? You see what I did?
No.
The best way to make something feel weird is to make everything else less weird. Counter-Earth is graded with muted warm colors and filled with decorations we're all familiar with. This makes the anthropomorphized animal inhabitants of this world stick out even more. It's important to make these environments feel like real places that characters can do real things in. Each scene gets a great variety of camera angles, props, and movement. The camera whips around the characters as they talk over each other. The props all serve a purpose and give the actors things to do.
Open the fucking door!
The characters move around the space, and the space changes them. This is Volume 3's biggest strength over Quantumania, which could basically be called Singles the movie. Whenever the characters discuss the plot, they do so in medium shots or close-ups with shallow focus. The quantum realm behind them blurs into the background, completely out of focus as we're only here to hear the dialogue. Every single environment looks the exact same. Changes in environment is where Volume 3 finds its strongest visual moments. Within one hallway, we'll go from the pristine polish of the High Evolutionary's laboratories to the inhumane cages he keeps his subjects in. The flashback scenes with Rocket are the most emotionally impactful within the film, and so much of that is due to the design of the sets and how the camera frames them. We get extreme wide shots emphasizing Rocket's fear and the details of the world around him. His cage keeps him close with his friends, but always divided from true connection. The scene that always gets me is the flashback where Rocket, Lila, Teefs, and Floor all pick their names. They all yearn to be free from this cage and live together in a better world, so the camera connects them through the bars and escapes with their minds above. And when the heartbreak happens...
Sky.
There is real tragedy happening in the background of both stories, but only Volume 3 makes us actually feel it. The central arc in Quantumania is all about Scott having to pay closer attention to the world around him. After coasting off the fame of saving the day in Endgame, his daughter is disappointed that he doesn't care about the issues still happening on Earth. When they're both thrust into the quantum realm, they're presented with even more individuals suffering who need to be saved, but Scott's only interested in getting home.
She's disappointed in you.
I got that, yeah, thank you.
The point, of course, is for Scott to step up as the hero and save the world beneath our own. But this ends up being the movie's biggest shortcoming, because neither Scott nor the audience connects with this universe Kane has dominated. The film shares Kane's disinterest in the worlds around him, using them as the backdrop to set up their future conquest. But when you ignore the background, you miss the entire story.
The name's Rocket. Rocket Raccoon.
We're in a really weird era of franchises where we have these really amazing films and television shows, but because they're sandwiched between such garbage, it makes for a truly frustrating viewing experience. However, it does make for some really fun film criticism. So if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe, and you know what? I'm gonna say this one time. Ring that bell. I'll see you next time.